Hi, how's it going? Jay Martin's here. Just doing a little bit of a Sudoku puzzle, and I thought to myself, there's gotta be a better way. So what I'm about to show you is going to replace the old pen and and just going through and randomly throwing in numbers based on, kind of looking through it. We're going to look at if we can develop a Sudoku puzzle system. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to enlist a little bit better technology than just a pen. So we'll get rid of this, and we'll get a bigger pen, because bigger is better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you guys hooked in right up at the top here, and you guys will be along for the ride. We've got a perfect view. I'm just going to tell you of where we're drawing. Now, in case, I get ahead of you or what have you, we'll just load up the pen there. I do have a laser pointer and a light, so I've got a little bit of a light we can shine in on the puzzle as we're completing it, and a little bit of a laser light, so if I need to highlight a specific number or something, we can do that too. Alright, so now that we've got our high-tech gadgets up to speed, one of the things that we're going to also do is, as we're going, I'm going to use some aids in order to help us focus just on the one box or the one column that we're working on. And to do that, I made my own. You can make your own out of paper, or if you get fancy, you can craft them, quilt them, I don't know, whatever you want to do, make them out of cardboard and so forth. What we've done is we've gone ahead and we've made a couple beautiful ones here out of, this is for Lego, this is for just the one, if you're looking at just one set of 9 numbers, then you're able to just focus on that. One group at a time. And then you're able to kind of focus a little bit more. So we'll be using that one in a little bit. And we've also built one of this type so that we can use this for the vertical rows as well as use it when we are looking at the horizontal rows as well. All right, so let's get started with Sudoku. I'm using an easy puzzle here. This is number 8. There's a dude with a little bit of a cell phone running with his briefcase and his ties flapping in the wind there. Looks like he's really having a good time. Awesome. Well, speaking of having a good time, I think it's time we get started here. What I like to do is I usually start at the low numbers and just kind of work from there. So just kind of look for the first letter, or for the first box that contains a 1, and then I just kind of work from there. So this one, there's no 1, there's no 1, there's a 1 here. So obviously there's going to be nothing going across this way, so we don't have anything that leads us to any sort of clues there yet, but we will work on that. What we can do is we can look up and down. So what we'll do is we'll look up and down at these 3 boxes and see if we have 2 1s, and we do, so we're in luck. We've got a 1 here on the far right, and we've got a 1 here on the far left, which means the middle row needs to have a 1 in the middle box. All right, so if we see that, yeah, and there's 2 other numbers there, so the only other place that this vertical column can have a 1, it can't have it there because of those, and we can't have it in these lower 2, so it has to be in there. And we can make our first mark of the puzzle. Awesome. Give that a little bit of some spit. See if that'll work. There we go. Lick it, ticks a lickin', keeps on ticking. All right. So now we want to work our way through the rest of the puzzle. So we figured out the 1s for these 3 columns, but we also need the 1 for this row across. So we're looking for any 1 in here or any 1 in there. And we obviously just put the 1 in there. So now we'll move to the bottom. Now here we have 2 1s. We've got a 1 and we've got another 1 over there. And we've got 2 possible locations for the number 1. So here we want to look it up. And we want to see if there's anything above. And if you remember, there was no other 1s above to give us a hint as to which one of these 2 boxes the 1 is going to be in. So we've got nothing there. So we're going to move on. We're going to move on to number 2. And again, I'm just going to start my sweep again. And I'm going to start in the top row, and I'm just going to work across. I kind of work across first, and then I work down. You can work either way. So here we've got a 2, and we've got another 2 in this box here, which means the bottom row and the second row both have 2s, and the top row needs a 2, so it's going to go right in there, because there's only one possible box in that top row that can accommodate a 2, because these 2 are blocked by that, and these 3 are blocked by that, so that leaves only this one location where we can put a 2. Perfect. So now we've got 2s all the way across, and we can start working our way across vertically. We're going to go here, here, and then here, and so 2. So we've got 1, 2 right in the middle column, and we have no other 2s. So maybe we'll come back a little bit later and see if we can figure something out on that. Now we've got a 2 in the top box, and we've got a 2 in the bottom. Now, that leaves us with just 2 locations that could possibly have another 2. This one and that one. And we don't have a 2 across here, so we can't cross-reference which one this or this would be if a 2, because we have no other 2 showing there. So we'll keep moving on. And now we've got the third column. We're looking for 2s. There's nothing in the second. There's nothing in the third. So we can't really nail anything down. But we do have the addition of this 2, which helps us figure out this 2 as well. That means that as far as 2s go, this middle row is out, and this far right row is out, which leaves us this box and that box. It could be a 2 in here. So there's nothing we can really figure out from what we've got from the 2s. So what we can do is continue on, and we'll hit the 3s, and we'll just go right across here. So we've got a 3 in the top row, and we've got a 3 in the bottom row, which means either one of these could be a 3 to fill in that middle row. And I'm going to look down. We have a 3 in the far left, which doesn't eliminate either. And we've got 2 blanks there. So it could be either one of these for a 3 for that box. Moving on. The next row, we've got a 3 on the far left row and the middle row, which means we could maybe eliminate 1 3 if we could. It means we've only got 2 spots where a 3 could be, and as our luck would have it, if these 2 are the only 2 that could possibly have a 3, because these 2 rows are blocked, and this bottom row is blocked, that means this here could be a 3. Perfect. So now if we've got 2 3s in the bottom 3 boxes, we could look and say the bottom row and the middle row, and then the top row. Are there anything else? So this top row could be, that's not going to be a 3 because there's a 3 up there, and there's not going to be any, can't really determine these 2, which one would be the 3. All right, well, I think we're getting a little bit closer. So let's keep going. We're going to keep going this side. And we've got a 3 up at the top in the middle box, and we've got a 3 down at the bottom here in the left-hand column. So the left-hand column and the middle column are eliminated, but we have a top and a bottom for this box. And I wonder if either of those, the top one and the middle from the side are eliminated, which means only the bottom one here could be 3. This is riveting stuff. But if you're into Sudoku, this is kind of fun to play along and to see if you can spot them before I do. And I think you probably will be able to, because this is pretty easy, but we're making some good headway. All right, let's move on to number 4. So, 4. No 4s at all in this box, or in this box, or in this box. Wow. So that doesn't eliminate anything. We'll move down. There's 2 4s. We have a 4 on the top row on the far side. We have a 4 in the middle row, in the exact middle of the entire puzzle. And we've got 2 positions where a 4 could be. And we can look down and we can see if this one or this one could be a 4. And yes, there's a 4 eliminating this one. So this one must be our missing 4. Excellent. So a 4 here and a 4 here. Perfect. We'll go down to the other row here, and we have 2 4s again, meaning that this first row has a 4, so that eliminates that box. This 4 eliminates the 2 boxes in the middle, leaving us with 2 boxes here that could be 4s. But we look up, we look vertically to see if there's any other 4s that would eliminate anything, and this middle box gets eliminated by a 4 above. So that means this bottom right one is the 4. Awesome. Alright, we're almost halfway there. I hope the furnace isn't too annoying. I'm sitting right next to the old furnace in the laundry room here with my studio, and we're just having some fun doing Sudoku, so I figured that would be alright to just do that on the fly. So now we're at number 5, and so we can, again, we'll start our traverse across the top, and here we've got a 5 in the top row, right in our first box here. So there's a 5 there. There's no 5 in the second box, but in this third box there's a 5 on the second row, meaning that the third row in the middle must be a 5, because we've got 2 other numbers in there. The further along you go, the easier it gets, because more columns and rows will be eliminated. That's just fun times. So here, if we look across the midsection here, we've got 0 5s here. There's nothing, no 5s, no 5s, no 5s. But we do have 5s above, so maybe we'll try a little bit of a vertical action here. There's a 5 above in the far right column. In the far left column, we have a 5 below. And so that means in the middle, we're going to have a 5 right there in the top row of that middle section. Excellent. Now, moving into the middle, we don't have a 5 below. So that's not going to help us. Just taking a quick look around, I think we're going to have to keep going to the third column, third set of columns here, and 5 on the far right hand side, 5 in the middle column from the lower box here. That's eliminating everything in column 2 and column 3, but column 1, we've got 2 spots that are available. So those 2 spots, we keep those 2 spots in mind, and we shift our focus. So it could be this top one or this middle one, and we see that we've just added a 5 in the top row. So that eliminates that one, and we can put our 5 right here in the middle row. Now, this eliminates 2 rows, the top row and the middle row. We can again shift our focus. We can see if we've got anything in here. Now, the 5s across are eliminating the top 2 and the middle 2, which still leaves us 2 boxes on the bottom row that the 5 could be for that middle quadrant there. All right. As we get further down here, I think we can do a 5. We'll check across. We'll check these 3 squares. We see a 5 over here in the top row. We see a 5 on the far left in the middle row, which means the bottom row could be a 5. And if we check up here. Any of these three could be a 5, and the far right one is eliminated, but we still have 2 possibilities there. So that means we got to keep looking. All right. Now we can keep going for 6s. And we've got a couple squares that are getting pretty low, because here we see we've got three left for this far right cube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just shift focus a little bit, and we're going to say the bottom 3 squares in here are going to be, we've got a 1, a 2, a 3, so it's going to be a 4, a 6, or a 9. 4, 6, and 9 are going to be in that bottom 3 there. 4, 6, 9. Excellent. So if we look at the single row, so if we look here, if this is going to be a 4, a 6, and a 9 in any combination, that still leaves a 1 that could be filled in here to make our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's still going to be a 1 that is required, and we'll put that guy right in there. As well, I know the 6 will be in here, so we've got a 4, 6, 9 combination going in here. But we also have a 6 over on the left-hand side, which means that the other 6 for the middle quadrant is going to be in the top 3. And that doesn't eliminate much, does it? Okay, well, maybe we'll continue on with our 6s and see what we can do. And here we've got a gimme. We've got a 6 in the bottom, a 6 in the middle, and a 6 on the left. So that... the 6s are all done for that section. Move over here. We don't even have a single 6 to narrow things down. And then on the right-hand side, we've got 2 6s already. And so the first column is eliminated by that 6. And the right column is eliminated by that 6. So that leaves only one possibility for where the 6 of the 6, 4, 9 combination can be put. So what we need to do now is, if this is going to be a 4 or a 9, and that's going to possibly be a 4 or a 9, if we can eliminate one of those, then what we can do is we can fill them both in. And luckily we've got a 4 down here in the bottom right, and that means that this can't be a 4, but we need a 1, 2, 3, so it's going to be a 4 or a 9 to complete, just to complete that one square, a 4 or a 9. But if the far right one can't be a 4, that means it has to be a 9, leaving only 1, 2, 3, and it should be a 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that one's complete. Yay! Check it off. Reward yourself, and you are good. You got one piece of the puzzle complete, and this will hopefully be the key to unlock the rest of the puzzle. All right, let's move on. So we were doing 6s, and so let's start with 7s. Let's keep going with our 7s here. So we've got 2 7s. We've got a 7 here in the bottom row, and we have a 7 here. So that just leaves a 7 as one of the top 3 numbers in the middle quadrant, and that is not limited by anything right now. We can look this way and we can see if there are any other 7s in these 3 middle quadrants, and there's no other 7s to eliminate anything. So we're just going to leave that one for a bit, and we're going to just keep on moving. Move down. We've got 1 7, and then we have well, there's going to be a 2 and a 7 here. One of these is going to be a 2, and one of those is going to be a 7. And we've got a 7 below. That means for the middle quadrant, we're going to need a 7 in the middle row there. So, all right, let's see if we can eliminate one of these and fill in our 7. So in this quadrant, we need a 2, so we have a 1, and then we need a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we need a 7. So we need a 2 and a 7. We don't know which one's going to go where, but we know we've got 2 empty spots. So what we can do is we'll put on our our thinking caps, and we'll look for 2 or a 7. There's a 2 at the top right, so that means the 2 cannot be in that right column. So what we can put in there is we need a 2 and a 7 to complete this quadrant. So we'll put a 7 in, and then the 2, which can't go there, must be going on the left side. Now, hopefully things are going to start to get a little bit of momentum behind them as we move forward. We've figured out where the 7 was, and that had absolutely nothing to do with we were on 7, so we're good. So now we've got 7s, and there could be a 7 here or here. This one is eliminated. That bottom row is eliminated. The top row is eliminated. It could be the left or the right. I'll check vertically once again on the quadrants above and below it, and there is no 7s. So I'll just keep moving on. And we have 2 7s in the right 3 quadrants, and the 7 in the top quadrant is in the left column. The middle column could be 7 either spot. So if we look at these 2 quadrants and we think about 7s, there's absolutely nothing to the left to eliminate it. And so 7 could be in either of those locations. All right. So we're at 8, and we start again at the top, and we see that we've got 1, 2 8s already in play. So this third row here across is always going to have what we're looking for in it because we've completed it. And this right quadrant is always going to have every number in it because we've completed it as well. So we have an 8 in the bottom row of the middle quadrant, and we have an 8 in the middle of the right quadrant, which leaves us an 8 or an 8 in the top two cells here of the first quadrant. So let's spin this around a little bit and see if we can eliminate any 8. Any 8s, and we don't see any 8s below. So we've got no 8s below. That is disheartening at this point, but you know what? We'll move on. We'll keep our chin up, and we'll just keep sliding over. All right, so now we're at the 8s. We've got 8s on the top quadrant on the left-hand row. We've got an 8 in the bottom quadrant in the middle row, which leaves us an 8 possibility on the right-hand side of the middle quadrant. And we've got two spots where it could be. We'll keep our focus on those 2 spots, and we'll spin our focus. And yes, there's an 8 that eliminates the middle row, and so the top one must be the 8. Excellent. So now we've got 2 8s, and as we work backwards through here, we can see that the 8 on top eliminates the 8. Any 8 that would be in the top row. We have an 8 in the middle row on the far right, and that eliminates this possibility, leaving us only with this one possibility in this quadrant that could be an 8. So let's fill that in. Excellent. Now, we've got 8s all the way across here. We've got an 8 and an 8 here as well. What we can do is we'll skip down, and we'll skip and bounce. We'll skip down to the lower level, see if we can eliminate anything here, and then we'll bounce back up. Now, we have an interesting situation here where we've got an 8 in the middle quadrant, and we've got 3 numbers over here that eliminate another row. So the 8 for the second row can't be any of these 3 numbers because they're already filled in. It can't be this blank one because there's already an 8 in that quadrant, meaning that these 2 have to be an 8. One of those 2 has to be an 8, and it has to be in that second row. Otherwise, the second row will be 8-less, and we don't want to be that. We don't want to be 8-less. So the first row is eliminated through this 8 at the top in the middle quadrant. The possibility of the 8 in either of these 2 spots eliminates the second row for the far left quadrant, and that leaves only one spot on the far left quadrant that could possibly be an 8. And so we're going to fill it in here. So if there's no 8 here and this is the only other spot, that is the spot that the 8 needs to be in order to complete this quadrant. Sorry, my penmanship is a little bit lacking. What's going on there? Let's zip back over here. We've got an 8 or an 8 possibility here. We're going to shift our focus up and we're going to see if there's anything we can do to eliminate one of these options. So what we can do is look up and we can say there's an 8 in the far right column. There's an 8 in the middle column, leaving us with the possibility of an 8 in the left column. Now we have an interesting situation here where we only have in this left column one number left. So we just do our simple countdown. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's a 9. So boom, we know it's going to be a 9. Niner. Did I hear a niner in there? Yes, I did. Okay, perfect. And so we've been able to figure out that entire first row of the right hand quadrants there. So we only have 2 left, 2 numbers missing in these 3 right quadrants. And so let's just do a quick count in here. And what we'll do is we will see what we've got. So we've got a 1. We don't have a 2, so a 2 is one that we need. We've got a 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't have a 7, so we need a 2 or a 7. So let's see if we can figure out what's left in this quadrant. We need a 2 or a 7, and we'll take our shift our focus back to the left, and we'll see if we can eliminate a 2 or a 7. Now, we don't have any 7s, but we do have a 2. So the 2 will eliminate the middle square, so that will not be a 2. So we will put a 7 in there. 7! And then we will put the 2 that cannot be there will be here. So 2 right here. Boom. And just to double check our work, we always like to do this, is we just give a quick check. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Boom! All right. So we can reward ourselves again. We've got one quadrant here complete, this quadrant complete, this quadrant complete, and we still have some gaps on some of these other quadrants, but we are getting closer. Okay, let's sit back, take a look, and take a deep sigh. This is easy number 8 on page 13, and you know what? We're 1/3 of the way there because we've got all 3 of these right-hand quadrants completed. Now we've only got one number left, and then we're going to come back through and we're going to do a little bit of cleanup. So let's start again looking for number 9. All right, so we do have a 9, and it's in the bottom row of these 3 quadrants here, and we don't have anything to eliminate any of the other ones from this view as well. So maybe we'll just shift down. We'll look and see if we have a couple of 9s in here, and we're in luck. This is a gimme. We have 3 9s. So we've got a 9 up in the top right here, the bottom right, and in the middle of the far right. So we've got all 3 9s accounted for at this level. And if we scroll down a little bit, we can see that we've got a 9 in the top row on the right-hand quadrant. We've got a 9 in the middle of the left-hand quadrant, which leaves us with a possibility of a 9 here in the bottom row, but there's nothing here to really narrow it down. So we're going to keep our focus on those 3 spots at the bottom, and we look up again, and there is a 9 in the far right, but there's only 1 9 showing in this column here. So what we're going to do is we've got 2 locations that it could be, so we're going to just keep moving. All right, I'm going to move 1 to the left, and I'm going to see if there's a possibility of figuring out the 9 over here. So just a cursory glance, we have no 9 in the top quadrant. We have a 9 here on the far right of the second quadrant. And at the bottom quadrant, we have a 9 in the middle row, which means the only possibility is the left row. And luckily for us, in the top left quadrant, the only position available in the left row is at the very top, and that one is vacant. So we will pop a 9 in there, which gives us the 9 for our our left row, our middle row, and our right row. So it looks like we've got all the 9s for that direction. And we've got the 9s not quite nailed down for here. So because we've added in that 9, what we can do is we can use that as our pivot point, and then we can look again at what rows are covered. So if we look to the right here, at the top row is eliminated because there's a 9 at the left, and the bottom row is eliminated because it's full, and also there's a 9 to the right. So there are still 2 possibilities. The left and the middle one of the top middle quadrant are possibly a 9. And if we look here, we can see if there's anything that will eliminate. Nope, the 9 is already eliminating the same column that's eliminated by the 2 here. So we are unable to fill in the 9s. So now we can take a little bit of a breather, and we can just kind of take a look at our puzzle overall, and then take a little bit of a breather, and we can begin the entire process over again, and we can look at the numbers individually. What I would usually do after a first run through would be to grab a little bit of focus on each quadrant as it happens, and then see if we can determine some things. Now I've got a quadrant here that only has 2 missing, and the numbers that are missing are, let's see, we've got no 1, we've got no 2, so it'll be a 1 and a 2, and let's see, hands getting a little sore. Man, this camera's a little bit heavier than my normal pen. So we're looking for a 1 and a 2. And if we can find or eliminate a 1 or a 2 from the middle row or the top left cell there, then we could fill this one in. So we see that there's a 1 directly above the right column here. So this can't be a 1. So if we need a 1 and a 2, the 1 is going to have to go over on the left-hand side, and the 2 is going to have to fill in on the right-hand side. All right. Okay, so now we've got 2 2s in here. We've got 3 1s, so the 1s are all taken care of. 1, 1, and 1. And the 2s. Now we have a 2 in the middle at the top quadrant, 2 on the right on the middle quadrant, and we don't have a 2, but the 2 would need to go into the left-hand column here. It's also the last number for this column as well, so we can actually just slide that 2 right in there. We could have determined it many different ways. Some people like to look at the columns and the rows as objects first, and then some people like to look at the quadrants as a whole, or some people try and just look at it and just see what comes to them. So we've got all the 1s in here, we've got all the 2s in here. We're going to slide over a little bit, and we're going to see if we can infer any 1s or 2s here, because we've done a little bit of work. So I see that we have a, maybe we'll just do this, we'll go 1s again, and we'll look and we'll see, like, okay, there's a 1 in the top row on the far right, there's a 1 in the bottom of the left quadrant. So in the middle, these ones, one of these could be a 1. All right, we can pivot on that, we can look down, and there is no help there at all. There's no other 1s. Okay. That is unfortunate. If we look kind of down the page here at the next row of quadrants, we see that there's a 1 at the top. Ooh, and this row, I didn't notice until now, has 1 missing. So we can generally figure that one out just by counting. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, that's going to be a 6. We have a 7, 8, and a 9, so that's going to be a 6. Yes, okay. So hopefully this will help us out. And we can just do a quick search. Oh, yes, we have another. So I just kind of did a search down, and we see there's another row here, and it has all but 1 number, and that number, of course, is, there's no 1. There's a 2, 3, a 4, 5, a 6, 7, 8, and a 9, but there is no 1, so we can put the 1 in there safely. Now we've got a 1, 1, 1, and we've got a 1, 1, and we've got a 1, 1. All right, but this 1 now helps us out above because it eliminates the middle row. So the 1 is in the middle row, and if we see these ones here, the 1 in the top row and the 1 in the bottom row means that the middle one and the left one. So because this middle one here is eliminated by that one, we can put our 1 safely in here. Now that we've got, oops, boom, 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 getting all excited. You can always tell when I get excited because stuff starts to bounce around a little bit. So we've got 1 in the left column and 1 in the middle column, and then we have a 1 that will need to go in the right column. And luckily for us, there's only 1 empty spot, so we will pop it in. Boom! I think we're done the 1s. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Excellent. I know some people make a little tick box. They do a 1, or they tally it at the bottom of the puzzle. Whatever way you want to reward yourself with a little bit of a check mark or a job well done. I know for me, if I'm eating a little bit of a snack, I'll take an extra, grab a couple peanuts, maybe grab an extra chip or something, because I've completed 1/9 of the puzzle, number-wise. All right, let's look for, now that we've done a little bit more work, we can look for 2s. Now, I believe that we have all of the 2s here. So we'll look at the first 3 quadrants. I see a 2 in the top row, 2 in the middle row, and a 2 in the bottom row. So we'll move right down, moving right along. I see a 2 in the top row, a 2 in the middle row, and no 2 in the bottom row. But in the middle row, I do see that we have only got 1 space. So we've got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, and an 8 and a 9. So we need a 7. We need a 7 to fill out that middle row. And hopefully that'll help us a little bit more later on. While we're looking for 2s, it's not helping us at all. So we're gonna just keep moving. All right. And the bottom, we see a 2 in the far left, a 2 in the middle, and a 2 at the bottom right. So really, we've only got 1 2 that we need to fill in. Okay, so this should be easy peasy. So we've got a 2 in the right column, and we've got a 2 in the left column, which means the 2 needs to come in the middle column. So we'll put that one guy right in there. All right, now if we change our focus, we've got 1 quadrant that is missing 1 number, and we've got a 1 2 3 4. We're missing a 5, and we have a 6 7 8 9. So that's going to be a 5. All right, and we're off. Whew. We're getting close, people. We've just got a couple of empty spots at this point. So we're gonna maybe just highlight those, and we've got like some section up here. We've got a little Tetris shape there. We've got a little L shape there. We've got a 3 in a row here and 3 in a row there. So that's gonna hopefully, when we're thinking about things, help us to focus on them. I know that the columns that only are missing 1 or 2, this one has 2. So if we bring our focus back in and we look at the right column, we see that that column has a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. It has a 5, no 6, no 7, but it has an 8 and a 9. So this is going to be a 6 or a 7, and that is also likewise going to be a 6 or a 7. So if we want to look at this bottom one first, maybe we can eliminate one of these numbers, and we can. There's a 6 here, which means that this cannot be a 6. So if this, whoops, sorry. So the bottom row cannot be a 6 or it cannot be a 6. So if we're looking for a 6 or a 7 in this far right column, and the bottom one cannot be a 6, then it must be a 7. And the 6 must be way up top here. All right. Man, this is turning into a 5-hour adventure. But you know what? When you talk through it, it takes a little bit longer than when you just do it in your head. All right. Now, an interesting thing, when we were looking at this one, we eliminated the 6 from the bottom row. And in looking at, put my filters on here, if a 6 is not going to be in the bottom 2, then it must be in the only blank square in that quadrant up at the top. So I'm just going to put a 6 up here. So sometimes when you're solving for something or a different column, you kind of accidentally bump into some of these fun things. All right. Now, hand's getting a little bit crampy. Ooh. All right, maybe we should do some 7th inning stretches here. Oh no, my Sudoku puzzles sign got all messed up. Oh well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it while it lasted. All right. And let me know in the comments if you like this style. If you want me to just solve it and shut up, that's all good too. My feelings won't be hurt. But if you want more tips and tricks, and if you want to follow the way that the pattern that I use to solve it, and if you want to solve along with me, that is always good as well. Excellent. All right, I will continue on. And let's just maybe look at this bottom quadrant here, because we've only got 2 left now. We've got a 1, we've got a 2, a 3, a 4. We have no 5 and no 9. No 5 and no 9. And since they're on the same row, it's kind of pointless to kind of check that way. But if we look here, 5 and 9, maybe we could figure one of those out. And I look, and the only 5 and 9 that we have are 5 and a 9, and they're both in that right column. And there's no 5 there. Oh, there is a 5. Wait, there's a 5. In the middle quadrant, there was a 5. So that eliminates the left-hand column as a 5, and that means that must be a 9. And that means that the remaining 5 must go here. We can double check our work and do a quick check. And we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Awesome. So now we can really get going, because now we see on the left-hand column here, we have all but one number. So we can figure that out with a simple count through. We've got a 1, a 2, a 3. Looks like it's going to be a 4. We've got a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's going to be a 4 up top. 4. Perfect. All right. See, as we get closer and closer to the end, there's a lot more restrictions on which number can go where. So we're going to look at this top quadrant. We're going to just change our focus a little bit. Change our focus. Boom. And see what numbers are still missing. So we have 1, 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6. No 7 and no 9. No 7 and no 9. And so we'll check and see if we can find any clues on this side. So we have a 9 and we also have a 7. So the 7 means that this one can't be a 7. That one has to be a 9. And this 9 means that one can't be a 9. It has to be a 7. And we've figured out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quadrants already. 7 quadrants, actually. And we just have 2 spaces here and 3 spaces here. So we can jump in on that. I'm just noticing, just a quick look, the very, very top row, get some focus on there, has just 1 empty spot. So we can solve that with a simple count through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it looks like it's going to be an 8 because we have a 9. So we'll put an 8 in there. 8 in there. Boom. All right. So we've got a couple that are left. So let's look at this, change up our focus, and we'll see what we've got for this top left quadrant. We've got a 1, 2, we're missing a 3 and a 4, but we have a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 3 and 4 that we're looking for the position of. So we've got a 3 and a 4 in the left and right columns, and maybe we can eliminate one of those. And I'm looking for a 3. I'm seeing 1 3 in the middle quadrant, no 3 in the bottom. I'm seeing a 4. Awesome. So a 4 here in this quadrant and a 4 in that quadrant means that the middle square needs to be a 4. All right, so we'll pop a 4 in there. Boom, boom, boom. Now 1 2 3 4. So the remaining numeral in this section needs to be 1 2 3. So we'll put a 3 in there. And boom. So now we've got all of the quadrants filled for 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So we just need this one here, and lucky for us, when you get to this point, it's simple count throughs that are going to be able to help you solve which one is needed. So we'll start with this middle row here, and we'll just do a count through. We've got a 1, a 2, 4 5 6 7 8, and a 9. So we need a 1 2 3. 3 is missing, so we'll put a 3 in there. A 3 in there, and then you could use the vertical count through, or if you wanted to just change your focus up, you could actually get into just checking out this quadrant itself. So we've got a 1 2 3 4 5 6. Must be the 7. Okay, so that is the 7 to finish off the entire Sudoku puzzle. Excellent. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this technology and this new way of doing Sudoku puzzles, and I hope you've enjoyed my verbal ramblings and my vertical and horizontal kind of techniques that I use, as well as kind of some shielding techniques. Again, you can build these out of Lego, you can build them out of paper, you can use a piece of cardboard, you can use an edge of another newspaper or something like that. If you want to, you can really hone in on things with your laser pointers and check things out that way as well. Thank you for joining me, and have yourself a great puzzly day, and we hope to see you again on Sudoku puzzles. Excellent. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell all your friends about Sudoku puzzles.